ago. It was around the time that mainstream journalism failed to cover the truth about what was happening in Kashmir. It was around the time that mainstream journalism failed to ask the right questions about farmer suicides, about the economy, about unemployment. It was around the time that mainstream journalism forgot to hold the government accountable for its actions. Coincidentally, around that time, I stopped being a mainstream journalist. And it's led to a lot of uncomfortable conversations between me and uncles wherever I go. Uncles normally ask me what I'm going to do next. And when I begin to tell them that I'm going to launch my own news startup, they interrupt me with a, how sad, no? But technically, uncles are the only ones who are still watching television, so. In this particular occasion, one building uncle said to me, "Buck up. We are with you. I love your videos, so bold, so frank. I watch them all. I don't forward them, but I watch them all." So why don't you forward them, uncle? We're scared now, you know how it is. What are you scared of? I have a family now. I'm scared. So I looked at that point at my husband who was with me, who according to this uncle doesn't qualify as family. Or at least not family that's important enough to be protected, like his family. Because he was telling me to keep going at it, and I asked him, "So how are you with me exactly?" And uncle said, "We are with you in spirit." So I wanted to ask him two questions at this point. One, who's we? And two, what good is your spirit to me if you're not even going to forward a video? But I have been cautioned by my family over the years not to engage in this garden variety political debate with uncles, because it normally ends in tears. Theirs, not mine. So I've learned over the years to like smile and nod. But my mind keeps building arguments because force of habit. So my outside voice is saying, "Yes, uncle, I know everybody's scared right now." But my inside voice is saying, "Do you hear yourself? You are afraid to forward a video. Does this sound normal to you? Is this what a citizen of an independent, free, democratic country should feel?" Yes, uncle, I know. You run a family business. You have to be careful. Yes. So people who run businesses, who have incomes, who have careers, who have reputation, who have something to lose or something to protect are silent right now. The biggest male voices in Bollywood are conspicuous in their absence and their silence because they have these big projects riding on their very buff arms and shoulders, right? Also, they make so much more money than the women, so they have so much more to lose. Corporate India is so afraid to tick off the government, they're worried their files might not move through North Block, and they will be punished into not making as much money as they're used to, so they're completely silent. So our streets right now are littered with human rights violations, with attempts to change the fabric of this secular country. Our streets right now are full of crime. And the people who have access to education and information and communication and platforms have covered those streets with a blanket of silence. When they came for Kashmir, there was silence. They came for Assam, there was silence. They came for Jamia, there was silence. They came for Uttar Pradesh, there was silence. They came for JNU, there was silence. Too much to protect, right? Too much to lose. Yes, uncle, I understand. That is true. Middle class people, why take panga now? We're middle class. Yes, I understand, I understand. That is true. So what about those people who are standing up right now? Kannan Gopinath, Kanhaiya Kumar, Varun Grover, Swara Bhaskar, Zishan Ayub, Deepika Padukone, Farhan Akhtar, Sandhya Mridul. Shah Faisal, who's still in custody. Shaila Rashid, don't these people have families to protect? Don't they have careers? Don't they have income? Do they have nothing to lose? Lakhs and lakhs of students in universities across the country, what do they have to lose? They have everything to lose. They have our identity to lose. Our identity as a secular democratic republic. Our Mile Sur Mera Tumhara identity, they have that to lose. That's more important than an income, or a career, or a reputation, or safety. Yes, uncle, I understand. I know if you forward something, it becomes permanent. They're reading everything, they're tracking everybody. Government is reading everything, that is true. Is the government reading the Constitution? Are you reading the Constitution, uncle? You know, we don't own this Constitution. We don't own this country. It's not ours to squander. We are custodians of it for the next generation. The same family that you're protecting with your silence will one day ask you what you were doing when their inheritance was being squandered. History will ask for accountability, uncle. History will ask you. History will ask me. At this point, I had smiled and nodded so much. And I nod sideways because I'm South Indian. And uncle wandered off because there was a live pasta section in the buffet and he wanted to check it out. It was a very cool party. And I turned to watch the grandmas who were still walking. And they were replaced by pre-teens who came up onto the ramp. This party was not cool enough for the teenagers. These were 12-year-olds. And when I watched them walk with the kind of optimism for the future that only very, very young people have, my outside voice was silent, but my inside voice kept going. When history asks for accountability, this will be the answer. The grown-ups, people with jobs and incomes and reputations and businesses and things to lose, sat down. The young stood up. The young who had nothing to lose and everything to lose at the same time stood to face the oppressor. The young stood guard for the Constitution through that cold winter night. The young kept us safe. The young made sure that we have a country to hand over to the next generation. The young stood and fought. Uncle was with us in spirit. Thank you.